to the Bears Baseball Network. Another very good weekend of Bears baseball. 3 more championship games on the books and a very nice weekend all around. And let's go ahead and get things started with the championship game, starting with 7U Meyer. They've come out to a very nice start to the season. This team, I'll tell you what, expectations were non-existent for this team. I didn't know how good this team was going to be preseason. A bunch of guys who are young, still kind of learning the Bear program. I didn't know how good this team was going to be, and they have absolutely blown me away. They've played really well all season long, and finally this weekend, they bring home the championship. KJ, I know you got to catch these guys a little bit this weekend. Tell me about this team, man, because they are really, really impressive so far.
Yeah, I was following this Meyer team on Game Changer pretty much all weekend, and what they did defensively was impressive, but the biggest thing I think was the offense, and especially what those top 3 hitters did of Graham, Closter, and Leighton Meyer. All of them were dominant in the championship game. Those big 3 did not get out in that game, so they led that team to a big championship win.
Yeah, what's impressive about this team, feels like a big Bear family team. A lot of siblings on this team. So you've always got older Bears at the games watching. It's a fun environment to be at. Definitely check out some 7U Meyer games if you get a chance. Another team that won the championship this weekend, 13U Floyd, had a very nice weekend, 4-0 on the weekend. And this team, I'll tell you what, really put things together this weekend for the most part. And one thing I would say, 13U Floyd being my team, one thing I would say that we've been missing so far this season that we had last fall was the ability to have big innings, right? I'm talking about 8+ run innings, and that's kind of been missing from our game this year. And I'll tell you what, this weekend we absolutely delivered. In the championship game, had a huge 9-run inning that really set the game apart, and on Saturday had a 13-run inning that kind of put that game away. So if this offense is able to get rolling and put up those 9+ run innings, this team's going to be dangerous the rest of the season, and they've been playing well. 16-8, very good for this 13U Floyd team, and a team that I think has only gotten better as the season's gone on. So a very nice weekend for them. Finally, 15U Dalton, their first weekend in action, and they took home the championship, beating 16U Burnsville in the championship. So 16U Burnsville second place this weekend as well. But 15U Dalton, this team, I would say they didn't even necessarily play their best. They didn't even use Tegan Kreitler on the mound, and were still able to take care of business. A really competitive game with Burnsville in the championship, 3-1 final. But the rest of the tournament, Dalton was just really taking it to teams. A really impressive weekend. Bernie, you got to see this team up close and personal in the championship game. Tell me about this 15U Dalton squad.
Yeah, I think this is kind of where we expected Dalton to be every weekend, coming off their 70-plus win season last year. That lineup's always dangerous, guys like Vince Dalton, Jack Roberts, even guys like Santiago, Tyler Hall, Tegan Kreitler especially. Like those guys, they're always dangerous. They got a Gold Glove catcher around the plate, and Tyvor. It's really hard to run on. Gold Glove shortstop with Tegan out there. And with the pitchers, Elijah in the championship game was not on his game. He was still lethal out there. We still couldn't hit him, and he wasn't even on his game. They also had Evan Osborne, Tyler Hall, Santiago Story, and like you said, they didn't even use Tegan Kreitler this weekend.
Yeah, like you said, Bernie, Elijah Underwood didn't necessarily have his best stuff and still 1 run in the championship game, and it was unearned. So he was absolutely still shut down. A great weekend for them. Also, 11U Burnsville went 3-1. They did lose in the semifinal, but a really nice weekend for that 11U Burnsville squad. Wanted to give them a quick shout-out. Let's move into our standout performances of the weekend. Each of us have 4 rapid-fire standout performances that we're going to run through really quick. And let's go ahead, Bernie. You get it started. Give me your first standout performance of the weekend.
I'll start it off with the guy who had the ball on opening day for 16U Burnsville, Hazik Majid, who went 5 innings with 1 earned run ball and 10 Ks to open the season.
Yeah, how about that? The magician, as I like to call him. A very nice weekend for Haz Majid. I'm going to go with Fred Smith, another player for that 16U Burnsville squad. A 1255 OPS, 462 batting average, a double and a triple. A really nice opening weekend for Freddie Smith.
I'll go to 12U here and go with Judd Levy. He had a 1,600 OPS this weekend, 5 hits, and drove in 4 runs this week for 12U.
Bernie, back to you here. Your second standout performance of the weekend.
I'll go to 11U Burnsville. Had Cale Taylor with a 1.9 OPS. I think he only got out maybe once or twice the entire weekend.
Yeah, he was cruising. Really impressive weekend from him. I'm going to go with Lucas Velchek, who put it all together this weekend. 3 innings, 9 Ks, just 1 hit, and no earned runs. He was absolutely dominant on the mound for 13U Floyd.
I'll go to that 13U Bell squad, and Evan Lancaster on the mound this weekend. 5 innings, 3 earned, 11 Ks this week for that Bell team.
Yeah, just 2 walks for Evan as well. He was disgusting. Bernie, your next standout performance.
I'll go to the 13U Floyd team with Lucas Wilbur, who batted .700 with a 1.7 OPS and threw a 4-inning complete game in the championship game.
I'm going to go with Harrison Blaybaum, who's a standout performer every single weekend. This weekend, a 1386 OPS and a 571 average. He also drove in some runs and scored some runs himself.
I'll go to Jack Dalton here. He had a 1,700 OPS this weekend, drove in 5 runs, and on the mound, I had a 2-point ERA this weekend.
Bernie, your final standout performer.
Yeah, my last guy, from my 16U squad, Alex Hobson, who went 7 innings pitched this week with 0 earned runs, including the 5-inning complete game in the championship with no earned.
I'm going to go with Tyler Hall, who threw a 5K, 1 walk, 3-inning, no-hitter, 0 earned runs, and was absolutely nasty on the mound. Tyler Hall bringing it on Saturday.
I'll go to 13U Bell again. I'm going to go with Luke Driscoll. He had a 1340 OPS this weekend with 6 hits and 6 RBIs.
And let's go ahead and move on to our standout players of the weekend. Each of us have chosen one player that we deem our standout player of the weekend. And Bernie, we'll go ahead and let you get things started here. Give me your standout player of the weekend.
Yeah, I'll stick with my 11U squad. Owen Lewis again with another monster week. He's had a monster month. 1.9 OPS. He had all of his hits this weekend were extra base hits.
Yeah, and he's been crushing the ball. Those extra base hits have not been, kind of when you think of Owen Lewis, you don't necessarily think of raw power. Those have been bombs he's hitting over the outfielders' heads, not like little line drives he's beating out to second. He's hitting bombs right now. I'm going to go with Brendan Bast, who had an 800 batting average this weekend, 8 for 10, a 1900 OPS, 3 doubles, and 7 RBIs. Just felt like you could not get this kid out this weekend, and he was hitting balls hard all around the ballpark. So Brendan Bast, a great weekend. KJ, your standout player of the weekend.
I'll go to that Dalton team, and like they said, he didn't pitch this weekend, but he had a monster weekend at the plate. It's Tegan Kryler. He had a 1,400 OPS, went 7 for 13 at the plate. He drove in 5 runs and scored 8 times this weekend.
Yeah, a very impressive weekend for Tegan Kryler. No hacking time this week with no youth teams playing this weekend. We're going to go ahead and move all of our videos to next week. And the biggest reason is because we want to focus on the awards. It is our May award show. So a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of players to look at here. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And let's go ahead and start with our May All-Rookie team. As you can see there on the screen, 20 guys here who were all rookies this month. A lot of repeat names, a couple new names here. But KJ, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Give me one name on this list that you want to kind of touch on here.
Yeah, I'll go with Ben Nichols here. And we knew this guy was going to be pretty good at the plate, but what he's done in that pitching staff, he's provided a consistent arm for that Bernie team that they needed. He's up there to get those strikes. At the plate, he can hit for extra base hits. We've seen some power by him, so I'm going to have Ben Nichols as my standout guy on this rookie squad.
I'm going to go with a guy who was not on the April All-Rookie team and a guy who really showed out this month, Weston Brody. And I'll tell you what, if you thought this guy was a defensive specialist or you didn't think this guy had a lot of power, go watch his home run from last weekend. It was an absolute bomb on a big high school field. This kid's been working hard all winter. And KJ, I'll credit to you. You talked up Weston Brody's bat going into the season. And in April, he didn't hit bad by any stretch of the imagination. But in May, he really, really had a good month at the plate. Continued to play really good defense, and I think Weston Brody is really making a name for himself on that 14U Floyd squad. Bernie, a May All-Rookie that you'd like to touch on?
I'll go to 12U here and touch on Phil Lobeck. This is a guy out of training camp, whatever you want to call it, before the season. Wasn't sure what role he's going to play on the Floyd squad. Played a lot with Burn to start the season, but had a very good start with them, and now is starting to get some more playing time with that 12U Floyd squad. I've been at a couple of their games, hit some balls very hard. He's played some very nice defense in the outfield, so I think he's starting to find home on the Floyd roster.
Yeah, one of those guys who works really hard and hits the ball harder than you would think based on his size. A guy I really like a lot and a guy that we've talked about a lot on BBN. Let's go ahead and move into our May All-Stars. As you can see them there on the screen, our May All-Stars. And a lot of guys here with monster months. Once again, we've got a lot of guys who are repeat All-Stars from April and a couple guys who are new on the list here in May. Bernie, we'll start with you this time. Give me one player on the May All-Star team that you'd like to take a look at.
Yeah, I guess this guy's pretty close top of the list. Give me Kale for my 11U squad. Defensively, he's been my shortstop all month. He's put up like a 91% field percentage at 11U at shortstop, which is just crazy to think about. At the plate, hits for a good batting average. Has a lot more power you think he would have. He's like top 3 or 4 on my team in extra base hits. So all around, he's just been a monster this month.
I'm going to go with a guy who, once again, was not on the All-Star team in April, but a guy who had a very nice month, and it's Quinn Steinbeck. This is a guy who, coming into the season, we knew about his pitching, we knew about his defense, but didn't really talk about his bat too much. He's expected to kind of be toward the lower end of the 13U Floyd lineup. Obviously he's going to get his innings on the mound. He's going to play good defense, but nobody really expected much from his bat. He had a very nice weekend at the plate this season, or this month. He was hitting for more power than I expected from Quinny Steinbeck. Had some big hits and big games as well. And his pitching, on top of it, was also really good. So not only did you get a good offensive month from Quinny, but his pitching was really good as well. So very, very impressive month from Quinn Steinbeck. And I don't think it's going to be the last time we see him on an All-Star list this season. KJ, one player from the May All-Stars that you'd like to touch on.
Yeah, I'll talk about Jordan Waring. What he's done at the plate has been really, really unbelievable. I mean, he's got such a mature approach and eye for a 12U guy. He takes a ton of walks, but he's also very aggressive at the plate, hits a lot of hard balls, and that's not even mentioning what he does on the mound. This year on the mound, he has absolutely just dominated. He's a guy you don't find a lot of 12U guys that get a lot of strikeouts and throw a ton of strikes, and Jordan does both. He throws a ton of strikes. He commands the zone. He gets a ton of strikeouts too. He can throw his curveball at any count for a strike. He can throw his fastball at any time for a strike. And he's pitched deep into games. He got a ton of outs against really good teams all year long, and he continued that pitching stretch he went. After winning Cy Young in April, continued to dominate in May.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great month from Jordan Waring. Let's go ahead and get into our first award, the Pitching Prospect of the Month. And I'll tell you what, a lot of good pitching prospects this month, a lot of quality arms, a couple names that got left out of the top three that I tried to fit in there. But number 3 is Dylan Graham, who had a very nice month on the mound, 11 strikeouts to just 1 walk, and was very, very solid for that Kreitler squad. Braden King, who did his thing for Driscoll, he was dominant in his couple outings in May. He was very, very impressive. But our pitching prospect of the month, Josiah Leaker. This guy was absolutely dominant. You talk about KJ, a guy who can get swings and misses while also throwing strikes. Josiah's been all of that. Bernie, if you could have some stats ready for us when I throw it to you. Josiah was fantastic. KJ, I don't know if you got a chance to watch Josiah in person, but definitely on Game Changer. Give me your thoughts on Josiah Leaker this month.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Josiah, and here's a guy who he works really hard in practice, and he's a guy who can kind of do everything well. He's a good pitcher. He definitely will be a good glove. He can catch, and he takes good at bats. So he's a guy you definitely want to have on your team.
And Bernie, you got a couple stats for us here. Our pitching prospect of the month, Josiah Leaker.
Yeah, he went 8 innings this month, which was second on his squad. 2 walks to 12 strikeouts, which the walks would be first for guys with qualified innings, and the strikeouts are also first on the team just in general. That equals out to a 3.5 ERA. So, yeah, Josiah had a great month. Yeah,
a very impressive month from Josiah Leaker. And just kind of for all the pitching performances this month, because it was only a 3-weekend month because of Memorial Day and because we had a little bit of rain, not a lot of guys accumulated a bunch of innings, so do keep that in mind with all of our pitching stats. Let's go ahead and get into our hitting prospect of the month. In third place, Mason Gebhardt had a monster month for Bell. He was doing it all at the plate, really crushing some baseballs. Garrett Knight in second place for that Burn squad. Obviously had his big hack of the week home run, but even when he wasn't hitting it out, he was hitting it really hard. But our hitting prospect of the month, this guy seemed to be putting up big numbers everywhere he went. Trevor Anderson finally in the last weekend got his call up to 13U Floyd and hit a double for this team. I believe he went 3 for 5 at the plate for Floyd, but even before that he was crushing for Bell. KJ, I know you like this guy a lot. You've been talking him up. Give me your thoughts on Trevor Anderson, our hitting prospect of the month.
Yeah, he's a guy he's developed really quickly, you can attribute it to his hard work. But he was a guy who hadn't played much of competitive baseball before this year, and he's really taken big strides. If you watched him in the first weekend, you could tell that he wasn't a guy who played really super high competitive baseball. And if you look at him this weekend and the last couple weekends, you can see Trevor Anderson has matured a lot at the plate. He's hitting everything hard. He's hitting good pitching. So, I'm really excited for how Trevor is going to progress.
Bernie, you got some stats for us here for Trevor Anderson, our hitting prospect of the month.
Yeah, so I know Trevor put in a couple different teams this month. I have his Bell stats right here in front of me because I think that's where he got the majority of his at bats. So he hit well in Crowder to get the call up to Bell, and then on Bell he continued to go off bat at 500, with almost a 1.4 OPS. 12 of his hits, half of those hits were extra base hits, and then I know, as you said, he hit well for Floyd this past weekend.
Yeah, a really impressive weekend. Hits everything hard, and the power has been evident. I mean, if you have a chance, go back and watch Trevor Anderson. The double he hit for 13 Floyd this weekend, this ball had to have been at least 85 plus off the bat. It was crushed, so go ahead and watch that one. Definitely earned that hitting prospect of the month title. Let's go ahead and move into our Big Four awards, starting with the Platinum Glove Award. This goes to our best defensive player. And coming in third place, I'll tell you what, if you would have told me this guy'd be in the Platinum Glove conversation at the start of the year, I'm not sure I would have believed you. Not because this guy wasn't any good, but because he's known kind of as a bat-first guy. And it's Cale Taylor, who played a really good shortstop for 11U Burnsville this month. Really, really impressive. In second place, the 14U Floyd center fielder. Again, a guy known more for his bat and maybe even his arm, but this guy's been flagging down the balls in center field. Andrew Willeret had a really good month. Obviously, no errors in the outfield, but not only was it no errors, he made a lot of plays that I'm not sure many other guys make. He's athletic out there, makes all the plays, and his arm is really, really good. But winning our Platinum Glove, if it's not a shortstop, it's not a center fielder, the next place I go to is catcher, and I'll tell you what, at the youth level, a good catcher can make all the difference. Logan Meyer, our Platinum Glove Award winner. There is not a better blocking catcher anywhere than Logan Meyer. I mean, this guy does not let any balls get by him. And the one thing kind of holding him back from being a real difference maker behind the plate last year, and even when he first joined the Bears, was the arm and how many runners he was going to throw out. Well, he started to throw out some runners. I think Bernie's got the actual stat for us, but over 20% of runners who went on him this month were thrown out, which at the youth level is very, very impressive. Had hardly any pass balls. He was a wall back there. KJ, I know you've gotten to see this guy catch. You had him on your BWL team. Logan Meyer, our Platinum Glove Award winner. Give me some thoughts here.
Yeah, catcher's kind of a position that you don't appreciate it until you don't have a really good one. And, lucky for that 13U team, they got two really good catchers in Logan and Quinn. But, yeah, the way Logan is just back there behind the plate, you don't get those pass balls that you'd have. You don't get, he limits the wild pitches too on pitchers. He helps them out. Guys don't run as much on Logan when he's back there. So he changes the whole game when he's back behind the plate. He makes it easier on the pitchers, and he makes it better on defenders as well.
Yeah, and this is just off the top of my head. I don't think we've had a drop third strike with Logan back there all season, which is another very impressive stat. But Bernie, I know defensive stats are a little weird on Game Changer, but give me some stats here on Logan Meyer.
Yeah, so first of all, he did lead his team in innings caught by a decent chunk here. Caught 35 2/3. Only 18 guys even attempted to run on, which, I mean, a guy running you every 2 innings at the youth level is massive. And out of those 18 guys, 4 of them got thrown out for a 22% rate. And obviously there's no blocking stats on Game Changer, but that is the best part of Logan Meyer's game. He is an absolute wall back there.
Yeah, a beast. A very well-deserved Platinum Glove for Logan Meyer. Let's get into our Rookie of the Month. A lot of rookies had really nice months, and we got to start with third place. Trevor Anderson, already talked about him, but a very good month for him, both at the plate and on the mound. In second place, Cale Taylor really turned it up. I wouldn't say April was disappointing for Cale Taylor, but kind of wasn't necessarily as hyped up as he could have been, but this month definitely was as advertised. He was a beast at the plate. But our first place in the Rookie of the Month is a guy I don't know we've talked about too much, but a guy who really had a good month with the top 12U team, Avery McNicholas. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know this guy had the power in him of some of the balls he hit this month. I had a chance to watch more 12U Floyd this month than I did in April, and this guy was just hitting bullet after bullet after bullet. And we know his defense is good. But KJ, I'll let you take the floor here. This is your player. Give me your thoughts on our Rookie of the Month, Avery McNicholas.
Yeah, a lot of people have came out to me about Avery and said, they're surprised that he's been this good. And really, to me, it hasn't been a surprise. I mean, he's worked hard. He's worked one of the hardest on the team all offseason. You see him all the time at Bud Dome from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. He's here. He's hitting. He's a guy who really bought into, the free swing kind of approach. It started off first week, he was swinging hard out of his shoes, striking out. Second week, he started to hit hard ground balls. Then he started to hit high-line drives. And now he's batting third on the top team, hitting, double after double. So I think the next step for him is starting to hit some balls over the fence. But, just a great example of if you buy in, you can start to turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, a great month. Bernie, give us some stats here for Avery McNicholas this month.
Yeah, so Abram Nicholas batted .474, which is good for third place on that 12U Floyd team, 500 on base, 1.184 OPS, and had 9 hits with 4 doubles.
Yeah, a very good month there for Avery McNicholas. Let's move into our Cy Young conversation, and once again, typically we have an innings pitched minimum for the Cy Young, but with things being weird with rain and only 3 weekends played, the innings pitched minimum is only 6 innings pitched for this month. Again, we had a wide variety of innings pitched, so it was tough to go ahead and narrow that down, but that's what we went ahead and went with. And in third place, Jordan Waring. This guy, his ERA wasn't necessarily as good as he pitched. His FIP was below 1. He had 22 strikeouts and just 4 walks. He was absolutely nasty, but that ERA was not quite good enough to give him a back-to-back, but definitely good enough for top 3. Our number 2 in the Cy Young Award, Andrew Willeret. This guy did have plenty of innings pitched. He threw 14 innings on the mound, 9 strikeouts in those innings, and a sub 1.5 ERA. He was very, very impressive. And in first place, Logan Eckert. This guy had a great April on the mound. He was nearly unhittable, was second in our Cy Young, and this month he is first place. I think Bernie will have the exact number for us, but I know he had a below 1.5 ERA. He led his team in strikeouts despite only having 6 innings, and he was a beast on the mound. But KJ, I'll go to you first. Logan Eckert, this guy's just been mowing through people all season long. Give me your thoughts on Logan.
Yeah, I think Eckert is the perfect pitcher for that team. He's a guy who just comes in and he pumps strikes, and now he's starting to get more swing and misses. I know, like you said before, he's kind of a guy who just came in, threw a bunch of strikes, made them put balls in play for the defense to make plays on, but now he's getting more swing and misses. He had more Ks and innings this month, so he's really turning it up on the mound. And, he could have won it. He could have won Cy Young last month if Jordan didn't beat him out. So I'm glad he's gonna win this one.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I mean, Bernie will correct me here, but I believe he had almost twice the amount of Ks per inning. I think he had near 2 per inning. But like you said, KJ, kind of the big thing, the repeat theme here is pitchers who are able to throw strikes, get strikeouts with limiting walks, right? That's kind of what we're looking for, and Logan Eckert definitely does that. But Bernie, give me some stats here for Logan Eckert. I know it was a small sample size, but it was a short month, but Logan was dominant when he did pitch.
Yeah, like you said, the 6 innings pitched. Allowed 7 hits with only 1 earned run all month with 3 walks, and almost doubled the Ks to innings with 11 Ks.
What was his ERA?
His ERA was a 1.16.
Was that best on his team?
That was good for number 1 of qualified innings.
Wow. Very, very impressive for Logan Eckert. A great month for him. And again, if we're talking about season-long Cy Young, it's hard to say Logan Eckert's not in the lead right now for the Summer Cy Young Award of Youth. Moving in finally to our MVP award, we've had a bunch of guys have big months, and a couple guys who didn't quite make the top 3 who were very, very impressive this month. Jordan Waring, we've talked about him a lot. Lucas Wilburn, Landon Meyer, each had monster months. Ben Combs had a very good month, didn't quite make it into the top 3. But let's go ahead and get into that top 3, starting with third place. This guy was a beast this month. It was, honestly, it was his first month in free swing, and I'll tell you what, he took everything he learned in free swing to heart and started really hitting bombs in games. Owen Lewis. Bernie, I know we talked about him a little bit earlier when we were talking about his stand-up performance, but if there's anything you didn't get a chance to say about Owen this month, he was an absolute beast. I don't know if you want to give us some stats. He did come third place here in MVP, but a really nice month for Owen Lewis. Bernie, if you have anything to say about him.
Yeah, and of course I have something good to say about Owen. Yeah, he was a monster this month. Over a 1.8 OPS for the month, had 18 hits, 12 of which went for extra bases. And a really fun stat, since I took over the team last August, Owen only had 4, and this month alone he had 12.
Wow, so between last fall and April, he had 4 extra base hits and then tripled that in the month of May. And I'll tell you what, that's some free swing magic. Bernie and Owen has completely bought in. Really love to see it there. Second place is going to be Jack Dalton. And I'll tell you what, he came first in April, second here in May. He was very, very good, a 700 batting average, really did everything right. And Jack Dalton certainly could have gone back-to-back if it weren't for this guy being a little bit better. We're talking about first place in the MVP. He was second in April, wins it here in May, and it feels like a long time coming. I'm not sure how many MVPs this guy's won, but he's come second. It seems like a lot. Harrison Blabaum, our May MVP. KJ, you talked this guy up a lot. I mean, he does sometimes seem like a man playing among boys because of the way he hits the baseball and takes at bats. KJ, give me your thoughts on Harrison Blabaum, our MVP of May.
Yeah, Harrison, another guy who has really bought into the approach, and he just hits the ball so hard for an 11U player that he can hit singles, he can hit doubles, he can hit home runs, and he really limited. I thought he was going to strike out much more than he has, but he's making more contact and more hard contact. So what this guy does week in and week out, we talk about him, I think, almost every week, and it's well deserved.
Yeah, I mean, he led his team in hits, OBP, average, singles, doubles, tied for the lead in triples. I mean, RBIs, runs. This guy was leading his team in almost everything. And this Burnsville squad, who had a great month, Harrison Blebaum, was a beast. Bernie, give me some stats here for Harrison Blebaum.
Yeah, 640 average with a 667 on base, a 175 OPS with over a 1 slug. Had 12 extra base hits, tied first on the team, and then 19 RBIs, 23 runs scored, were first on the team, as you had said. And like KJ had pointed out, he is not struck very often, only struck out 4 times the entire month.
Yeah, and it's tough to hit for that much power and still not strike out. Very, very impressive what Harrison Blebaum was able to do. All right, let's go ahead and end the show here with our weekend series pick'em. Let's go ahead and get through this very quickly here. Our award show takes up some time. Last week, the winner was Bernie. He took home first place. Bernie, you had 1 first place, 1 tie for first place, and 2 second places. KJ, you came second. You had 2 first and 2 last, and I, unfortunately, came last place. I had 3 last places and 1 tie for first. My guys really letting me down this weekend. The winner of the RBI category, Lucas Wilburn, won that one for Bernie. The winner of the doubles category, Landon Meyer, won that for KJ. The innings pitched category was a tie. Evan Lancaster and Hazik Majid tied me and Bernie for innings pitched. And contact percentage was won by Andrew Willeret for KJ. Bernie, that means you have first pick going into this weekend. And I will remind both of you, it is high school only this weekend. Youth teams do not play. So please don't pick any youth players because they won't score any points. We'll start with singles, OPS, Ks, and strike percentage of our categories. And our bonus category is going to be any player who hits an over-the-fence home run will net you 4 points. Bernie, what category would you like to start with?
Let's start with strike percentage. And I will go to... Okay, I'll go to my 16U squad here. A sneaky guy, thinking kind of like Hazik last week. Give me Will Brotherton.
Will Brotherton, guy who definitely pumped strikes, had a very good outing this weekend. KJ, your pick for strike percentage.
I'm going to go to that Dalton team, and I'm going to go... I'm going to go to Tyler Hall. Like I said, he's very efficient this weekend in how he pitched, and I think he's going to continue that into this weekend.
Yeah, definitely stole that one from me, KJ. That's who I was looking to take. So I'm going to go ahead and go with my backup selection. I wanted Tyler Hall, but this guy is another 15U player. Sneakily is a very good strike thrower, and I think he could win me this category. I'm going to go with Jackson LaPlante, who threw 68% strikes this weekend, and I think will continue this weekend as well. All right, Bernie, where are we going to next?
Let's go to OPS here. And I will take, from the 15U Dalton squad, I will take Tegan Kreitler.
Always a great pick. No matter what category you take Tegan for, it's a good one. KJ, your pick for OPS.
I'm going to stay on that Dalton squad, and I'm going to go with Vince Dalton.
Very nice pick as well. Well, in that case, those were the 2 that I was targeting for my OPS pick. So I'm going to go ahead and go with maybe more of a sneaky pick here. I don't know, maybe not sneaky, depending on who you root for. I'm going to go with Caleb Kalmizi, who I think had a very underwhelming weekend this weekend, but a good weekend by normal people's standards. So I think he's going to have another monster weekend this weekend. Caleb Kalmizi. Bernie, where to next?
Yeah, let's go to K's here, and I'll take, it's got to be one of those Dalton guys, one of those big 3 guys. I think there's a strikeout answer. I think the answer is always going to be Elijah Underwood.
Okay, Bernie takes one of the big 3. KJ, your choice here.
I'm going to go to that 18U squad, and I'm going to go with... I'm I'm going to go with Mac Floyd.
Okay. I know Matt Floyd's been pitching really well, but I got to say, I don't know if I use him for a pitching category because that means I won't be able to use him for a hitting category. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the other of the big three who hasn't been chosen yet. I'll take Evan Osborne, who I think outcade Elijah Underwood this weekend, and I think will do it again this upcoming weekend. Okay, so finally we have singles. Bernie, your choice here for singles.
Yeah. Let me go. I'll go back to my 15U squad. Give me Fred Smith.
Great pick. Definitely on my options list here. KJ, your pick for singles.
I'll stay on that 15 squad, and I'll take 16U squad. You said 15. I'll go on that 16U squad, and I'll take Aiden Warndell.
Aiden Warndell had a very nice weekend as well. Okay. I was afraid this guy was going to get sniped from me, but he did not. Bernie, let me ask you a question. Do you know who the most productive player in the Bears without an extra base hit was last season?
Was it Adam Tobias?
It was Adam Tobias. This guy is a singles machine. Normally, guys without power, we kind of brush him to the side, We want some power. But when you hit singles at the rate Adam Tobias hits singles, you want him on your team. You want him in a key spot in the order. So give me Adam Tobias, who is a singles machine. All right, finally our bonus category, over the fence home run. Again, you do not have to pick, or this player does not count against you for the rest of the season. You can pick somebody you've already picked, and they just have to hit at least one. So anybody who hits one earns 4 bonus points. Bernie, your choice for over the fence home run.
So with the bonus, I can stay right along my guy for OPS, right?
You can pick a guy who's already been picked.
I'll stay right along my guy for OPS. I think he's having a monster week. Give me Tegan Kreitler.
Tegan Kreitler, a very good pick.
I'm gonna go with a guy who's not your typical home run hitter, but we've been working in the cage. I like what I saw from him tonight. Give me Alex Hobson to go deep this weekend.
All right, I'm going to go with a guy who is your typical home run hitter, and he went deep this weekend. I think he's going to go deep again, and I think he's going to go deep a lot this weekend. Give me Vince Dalton. He's going to take care of business for me. That's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network. That was our May Award Show. Next week, we're going to have a lot of high school action to break down, but that's going to do it for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network, and we'll talk to y'all